Being a UN force in the Sinai is the worst. I mean, it's desert all around. The sandstorms really suck, and we are obviously not needed here. I mean, the Egyptians and the Israelis aren't going to go to war. Why bother? Out! What? Get out of here! The Egyptian army is back! You do realize that we are here precisely so that you will not be back here? I said get out. And so Egypt, under the popular president Gamal Abdel Nasser, expelled the UN force from the Sinai and set its troops on the border with Israel. Hey, what are you doing? The Soviets told us that you were preparing for war. No, we weren't preparing for war. Hey, no! What are you doing? You're not closing the Straits of Tiran. No, don't do that. No. Oh, come on! 11 years ago, back when the Suez Crisis ended, Israel threatened that if the Egyptians were to close the Straits of Tiran to Israeli shipping, it would be considered as an act of war. Closing the straits essentially means that Israeli vessels will have to go all the way around Africa in order to reach its Mediterranean ports. Or in other words, it sucks. Don't do it. To which Nasser replied, "The Jews are threatening war, and we say to them, Ahlan wa sahlan." During this time, Jordan and Egypt signed a defensive pact, which would essentially make them allies in case of a war with Israel. Jordan also let Iraqi forces pass through it in preparation for the war. Syria, you guys are with us too, right? Remember how we made an official alliance of a united Arab Republic? We even changed our flags. 2 stars, one for Egypt and one for Syria, right? Oh, why 3 stars? We've decided that Iraq should be in a republic too, so that's 3 stars. Oh, come on, I thought we had a thing going. Never mind, whatever. Are you ready for war with Israel? Yeppers! I'm so excited. Remember how great you were back in the Suez Crisis? Now imagine what we would do to Israel if we united. Oh, I'm so happy. It brings me to tears. Right. In response to this turn of events, Israel called upon its reserves. Oh, wait, let's clarify. The Israeli army is basically built like this. You have a standing army, which consists of the mandatory draft, that is, ages 18 to about 21. This army is cool, I guess, but in a small country like Israel, this really doesn't amount to that many people. In a real war, that would not be enough. So the Israeli army also has its reserves, which is pretty much the entire male population ages 18 to 40, or something like that. Now that is enough for a proper war. Okay, now let's proceed. So Israel calls upon its reserves, which is necessary on one hand, because if Israel is attacked by all Arab states, they need to have a large army in order not to be overwhelmed. But it is also a pretty bad thing, because, well, if you call upon such a large chunk of your population to the front lines, you aren't really going to have a proper economy. So such a state of affairs is unbearable for Israel. The issue must be decided, and soon. Hey, you guys told us that you'd make sure the Straits of Tiran remain open for Israeli vessels. You know what? We did say that. You guys are right. Let us call the Egyptians. 1 second. Hey, Nasser? Yeah? Open the Straits of Tiran. Oh my god, they say we should open the Straits of Tiran. Don't do that. Right. No. Well, sorry Israel, nothing we can do. Wow, you tried so hard. Okay, so now war seemed inevitable. So Israel calls Jordan using some secret communication channel they had, and they have the following conversation. Hey, Jordan. We hate you. We hate you too, but listen, there's probably going to be a war. Okay. We need you guys to stay out of that war. Why would we? You guys totally should stay out of the war. Listen, we're going to destroy you. Shh. There's Egypt. We can't be heard. Stay out of the war, okay, guys? No, we're going to wreck you. Okay, think about it. Stay in touch. Ugh, we hate these guys. Israel started doing some fancy tricks. For example, they made it appear as if they were amassing troops at the south of the border with Egypt, when in fact they were aiming for the north, and they started sending many troops home for vacations so that it appeared as if they were not on such high alert. But then came the first day. Israel began sounding its air raid sirens and then used almost the entirety of its air force, flying low as to avoid radar detection, and launched a surprise attack against Egyptian air bases. Since the Israeli air force was not large enough to attack the entirety of Egypt at once, the Israeli planes went back and forth between their bases and their intended targets. At the same time this was going on, Israel launched a massive ground assault with its army. The Israeli plan was to advance as quickly as possible in order to cause mass confusion in the Egyptian forces. I was attacked! They're attacking us! What? No, it was you who attacked me! Bruh, no way. Bruh, that wasn't us. So, it is finally war. Yes! Join us! It is time to destroy Israel! Yeah, okay, sure, just how are things going, Nasser? What do you mean? I mean, how goes the war? Are you winning? Wait, why are you asking that? Just curious. Of course we are winning! Things are going great, join us, attack Israel now! And so the Jordanians and the Syrians, assisted by Iraq and Saudi Arabia, attacked Israel from the east and from the north. Psst. Hey, Jordan! What do you guys want? You said that you were not going to go to war with us. We said no such thing. Psst, no, Jordan, no. If you stopped attacking us now, we promise not to beat you up. We'll beat you up. Jordan, shh, Jordan, no. Come on, don't be like that. Most of our forces are on the Egyptian border right now. We don't want to deal with your stupid army. It's too late, Israel. We shall have war. Fine. We'll show you. And so Israel directed its air force to destroy the other Arab countries' air forces. And while they did lose the element of surprise, the Israelis still emerged victorious. By the end of the first day, Israel had almost completely eliminated the air forces of all of its opponents. It would enjoy complete air superiority for the remainder of the war, which is kind of a big deal. On the second day, the Israelis kept pushing hard into the Sinai Desert, and while the Egyptian forces were mostly intact, the speed of the Israeli invasion did cause confusion, so much so that the Egyptian field marshal panicked and ordered an immediate retreat from the Sinai Peninsula. That order sent the Egyptian army into a confused scramble and had essentially meant the collapse of the Egyptian army. By the end of the second day, the Egyptians were beaten and the Sinai was in the process of falling into Israeli hands. Israel was now able to divert its forces towards the Eastern Front against Jordan, which was actually going better than expected. The Israelis were already able to surround East Jerusalem, which was under Jordanian control back then. After taking over the entirety of Jerusalem and driving back the Jordanian army, Israel proceeded to take over the entirety of the West Bank. So, in 2 days, Israel was able to defeat Jordan. That makes it 4 days since the war began. But there was still Syria to the north. Syria's border with Israel greatly favored the Syrians, who controlled the Golan Heights and were able to safely bombard Israel from there. Luckily for Israel, its forces were now free after winning the Egyptian and Jordanian fronts. Now the full might of the Israeli army could be turned against the Syrians. Israel would defeat the Syrians and take the Golan Heights. Now it is Israel who holds the high ground. And then the UN unanimously voted in favor of a ceasefire between both sides. The dust has settled and the war was done. What just happened here? Within 6 days, Israel has conquered the following: from Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula and the Gaza Strip; from Jordan, East Jerusalem, including its holy sites, and the West Bank; from Syria, the Golan Heights; and from Saudi Arabia, a couple of islands near the Straits of Tiran. What should we name the war? The setback? The July War? The mistake? I think we'll call it the 2 days each war, because it took 2 days for each of you. You're pushing it. Okay, we'll call it the 6-day war. The war had far-reaching consequences for the region. Egypt would still try to reclaim the Sinai, without caring much about the Gaza Strip, of course. Syria would become disadvantaged in its border with Israel, losing its Golan fortifications and entering a period of political instability. Israel would control the West Bank for decades to come and develop a reputation of a dangerous military power who should not be messed with. The Arab states would convene and promise not to recognize Israel, not to negotiate with Israel, and not to have peace with Israel. They did not give up their ambitions for revenge. This time, Israel surprised them. What would happen if the Arabs were to surprise Israel? Well, for that, we'd have to wait for a couple of years.